Caitanyas, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Radha Radhanath Radhe Radha Radhanath Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Gora Hare Gora Hare Gora Hare Jaya Gora Hare Gora Hare Gora Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Welcome dear devotees and guests to Sri Sri Radharadhanath Temple for the Sunday Love Feast. Devotees, today's program is dedicated to His Holiness Kandamakanana Swami Maharaj, and we celebrate Maharaj's contribution and his dedication to the South African Yatra, as well as for his contribution that he's made individually to the devotees, well-wishers, and friends in South Africa. Devotees, the program for today would be that we would have class now with His Grace, Jaisacinandana Prabhu. For those that don't know, Jaisacinandana Prabhu, he is a disciple of His Holiness Giriraj Swami, and he's been with us in the South African Yatra, serving in many capacities over the years. And we're very fortunate to have him present this morning's class, which will be entitled on the desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thereafter, we'll show a video on Maharaj's last message, and after that, following that, devotees, guests, and disciples will have an opportunity to speak and glorify Maharaj for his contribution that they've made in their personal lives as well. Today's feast as well has been prepared by the disciples of Maharaj, together with the devotees from the Unit 6-7 Namahata, also known as the Krishna Prema Namahata. So I'd like to thank the devotees, the disciples, for their contribution in today's preparation. I really value it. And will now hand you over to His Grace, Jaisacinandana Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girdhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girdhari Jaisacinandana Braja Janarandana Jaisacinandana Braja Janarandana Jaisacinandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Shri Radharanath Ki, Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki, Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu Gaur Hari Ki, Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki, ISKCON founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki, Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Ki, Bhaktivedanta Purports Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing with the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu festival. Today we're reading from Adi Leela chapter 4, text 34. Confidential reasons for the Lord's appearance. We'll do the invocation. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So the verse is there. Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusam deham ashritaha bhajate tradrisha kridha ya shrutva tat paro bhave anugrahaya bhaktanam manusam deham asritaha bhajate tadrishi kridha ya shrutva tat paro bhavet anugrahaya for showing favor bhaktanam to the devotees manusam human-like, deham, body, asritaha, accepting, bhajate, he enjoys, tadrishi, such, kridaha, pastimes, ya, which, shrutva, having heard, tatparaha, fully intent upon him. Bhavet, one must become. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form and performs his pastimes to show mercy to the devotees. Having had such pastimes, one should engage in service to him. Repeat response. Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form, and performs the pastimes to show mercy to the devotees. Having had such pastimes, one should engage in service to him. Purport. This text is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 33, text 36. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, as innumerable expansions of His transcendental form, who eternally exist in the spiritual world. This material world is only a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, where everything is manifested without inebriety. There everything is in its original existence, free from the domination of time. Time cannot deteriorate or interfere with the conditions in the spiritual world, where different manifestations of the Supreme Person of Godhead are the recipients of the worship of different living entities in the constitutional spiritual positions. In the spiritual world also, all existence is unadulterated goodness. The goodness found in the material world is contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. The saying that the human form of life is the best position for devotional service has a special significance, because only in this form can a living entity revive his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The human form is considered the highest state in the cycle of the species of life in the material world. If one takes advantage of this highest kind of material form, one can regain his position of devotional service to the Lord. Incarnations of the Supreme Personal Godhead appear in all the species of life. although this is inconceivable to the human brain. The Lord's pastimes are differentiated according to the appreciating capacity of the different types of bodies of the living entities. The Supreme Lord bestows the most merciful benediction upon human society when He appears in His human form. It is then that humanity gets the opportunity to engage in different kinds of eternal service to the Lord. Special natural appreciation of the descriptions of a particular pastime of God indicates the constitutional position of a living entity. Adoration, servitorship, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love are the 5 primary relationships with Krishna. The highest perfectional stage of the conjugal relationship, enriched by many sentiments, gives the maximum relishable mellows to the devotee. The Lord appears in different incarnations, as a fish, as a tortoise, as a boar, as Parashuram, Lord Ram, Buddha, and so on, to reciprocate the different appreciations of living entities in different stages of evolution. The conjugal relationship of amorous love, called Parakiras, is the unparalleled perfection of love exhibited by Lord Krishna and His devotees. A class of so-called devotees known as Sajias try to imitate the Lord's pastimes, although they have no understanding of the amorous love in its expansions of pleasure potency. The superficial initiation can create havoc on the path for the advancement of one's spiritual relationship with the Lord. Material sexual indulgence can never be equated with spiritual love, which is an unadulterated goodness. The activities of the Sajas simply lower one deeper into the material contamination of the sense and mind. Krishna's transcendental pastime display eternal servitorship to Aduksaja, the Supreme Lord, who is beyond all conception through material senses. Materialistic conditioned souls do not understand the transcendental exchanges of love, but they like to indulge in sense gratification in the name of devotional service. The activities of the Supreme Lord can never be understood by irresponsible persons who think the pastimes of Radha and Krishna to be ordinary affairs. The Rasa dance is arranged by Krishna's internal potency, Yogamaya, and is beyond the grasp of the materially affected person. Trying to throw mud into transcendence with their perversity, the Sajas misinterpret the sayings Tat Paratreva, Paritvena Nirmalam, and Tat Parabhavet. By misunderstanding Tadrishi Kridha, they want to indulge in sex while pretending to imitate Lord Krishna. But one must actually understand the imports of the words through the intelligence of the authorized Goswamis. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, in his prayers to the Goswamis, has explained his inability to understand such spiritual affairs. Rupa Raghunatha Pada Aiba Akuti Kabahama Bujahaba Se Yugala Piriti. When shall I be eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis? Then I shall be able to understand the transcendental love affairs of Radha and Krishna. In other words, unless one is trained under the disciplic succession of the Goswamis, one cannot understand Radha and Krishna. The conditioned souls are naturally averse to understanding the spiritual existence of the Lord, and they try to know the transcendental nature of the Lord's pastimes while they remain absorbed in materialism. They are sure to blunder like the Sajas. Om Jnana Tivrindasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumalitam Jaina Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyahevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Krishna manifests his human-like form. It says, for the pleasure of the devotees. And Bhagavad Gita also, he says, Parichanaya sadhanam. I come to protect my devotees and give, by performing my wonderful leelas, to encourage them, to make them become more attached to me in that way. So only the devotees can understand that. Krishna's leela, Prabhupada is saying that it's he is adoksaja. That means beyond the senses of the material mind. Adoksaja. And Krishna's name is Adoksaja. Is beyond the comprehension of those who are very materialistic minded. Yes. So in this Kali Yuga, the Lord has come, but in a covered way. In this covered way is described as the Chana avatar is not mentioned as such as like the Srimad Bhagavatam mentions the Lord's appearances. Three Kala, three Yuga. It comes in the three Yugas, but in this Kali Yuga, it comes as a covered incarnation, Chana avatar, and this is explained very nicely in the Srimad Bhagavatam and many other scriptures of the Lord appearing not as the avatar, but not as the Supreme Lord Himself, but the avatar, Bhakta avatar. He is Bhakta avatar. When he comes in the garb of a devotee, who best to show the process of devotional service. So it is described in the Caitanyas that the Lord, He has confidential reasons for coming, and He has external reasons for coming, isn't? The external reason He came to, we all know that to propagate the Sankirtan movement, yes, to propagate the movement of the Sankirtan, and in a very revolutionary way He did that, and to give a very simple process, at the same time giving you the highest love of God, Krishna Prem, just by taking to this process of Harinam Sankirtan, one can achieve the greatest results. One doesn't have to go through all kinds of austerities like the yogis and to achieve that. No, it's simply by this process of Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan, chanting Hare Krishna. And this is what he came to propagate. That was his main theme. And aside from that, he came for more, he has mentioned confidential reasons. He comes to, in the garb of a devotee, to spread the message of, and by showing this emotions of symptoms of bhav, like that. We read in Nectar of Devotion these different levels of bhav there, and it's so intricate and it's so complex, isn't it? And we cannot even try that. But Prabhupada mentions the sajas who try to imitate these emotions. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna refers to them as pretenders. These are pretenders. They dress in devotional attire. Externally they look very devotional, but internally they have all this material desires for sense gratification, and therefore they corrupt this system of pure devotional service. And sajas means somebody takes this process very cheaply. So in this way, we know Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't live for very, he performed his pastimes. After 48 years he departed. But he says after that, as soon as Lord Chaitanya, there was all these different apasampradayas, deviant, sprang up in the name of pure devotional service. And one of these sajas and there's Gopal, men and women men dressed like gopis, trying to imitate these pastimes. So these, up to today, I'm sure it's prevalent all over, isn't that we tried. Even in Prabhupada's time, there was something like that also. And Prabhupada was very, very strict about that. You cut it out. Don't let this creep into ISKCON society. He wanted to keep it very pure. He wanted to keep that very pure, yes. And by his mercy and by the wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada that have kept it together very nicely. And therefore today we can practice, although still sometimes it rears its somewhere in some, and the danger is that some neophyte devotees may think, yeah, this is fine, this is good. And they may get contaminated like that and may leave ISKCON, may leave the shelter of ISKCON, much to their detriment. We've seen many devotees like that, we just get caught up in such contaminated states, and so we have to be very, very vigilant and sensitive to such. And the only way is to follow the Acharya, to follow the teachings of, and regulation is there, it's very, very important. I was reading Maharaj's book, Kadambakana Swami's little book of some such nectar is there. It's about, if all the sampradayas, he says, this ISKCON sampradaya, with Prabhupada, Brahma, Gaudiya, Vaishnava sampradaya, is very prominent, and Prabhupada, he set that standard, Guru Nishta. He mentioned with Guru Nishta, how that the Guru is revered. And that will keep us, if we continue like that every day, this Guru Nishta, this appreciation of the spiritual master, the pure devotee of the Lord, who is in line with Prabhupada's teachings and the Sampradaya. And we'll be okay. We'll be fine. Yes. But we have to be vigilant. Krishna conscious means to be conscious. Prabhupada said you have to be conscious of everything. That is to be Krishna conscious, that these things. At the same time, Maharaj also stressed in his book there about reading Prabhupada's books. He stressed that. Reading and understanding, assimilating these books, he gave so much depth to that, that if we read and understand, and then we will advance very nicely. We will advance very nicely. Otherwise, we just become sentimental, and that very easily can, deviate us. Being sentimental devotees, we don't want to be sentimental devotees. We want to be dynamic, isn't? And we follow in the of Kadambakana Swami. Such a dynamic preacher he was, globally, not just, and somehow we are very fortunate, our good fortune to have such a great person grace our shores and grace this wonderful temple and give us his mercy. He showed so much passion for South Africa, especially the African preaching. He gave so much of energy to that, arranging Ratha Yatra festivals and preaching centers, isn't? And we wanted that, and we have to keep that. I think that will please him most if we continue with that kind of what he has set. He set a bar that we have to. There's a lot of disciples of Maharaj, but also it's for us also. We all part of that, isn't to emulate such great personalities who have come. And the sad thing is we we only miss them when they're not here. And sometimes we take for granted, we take them for granted, right? We take for granted. We take this Krishna consciousness for granted. We take until they're gone, and we're gone. Then we the reality of it, we miss them. They're gone. They're no more here. But in that brief time they were here, they did. Prabhupada did so many in 12 years. He knew, in 12 years he had to do. He had that much time left, and he did so much. He did so much in terms of traveling in his debilitating health, failing health. And this we see the character of such personalities. In spite of all that, they become selfless. And this is what Krishna is to be selfless. Is to be self, to give oneself. Prabhupada said, give this life, give this one life to Krishna. We had so many lives of sense enjoyment, isn't it? Of trying to enjoy. And it's like chewing the chewed. Chewing the chewed. We think there's something new. We want to come back and try something we didn't. No, it's all been there. Same old thing, just covered differently, packaged differently. Same old material world. Give this life. And we see by the example of these great souls, these Mahatmas. And Krishna glorifies such persons. Mahatmanastu mam partha, daivim prakriti ashrita. He says these great souls, Mahatmas, they always situated in my divine nature, daivim prakriti. Satatam kritayanto mam. Satatam, they always chanting my glories. And he describes such persons like that, and we can attribute this to such great personalities that we no more with us, who perform such great, with aplomb, with such conviction, such determination. In spite of all else, isn't there's always some upheaval somewhere. And we were very fortunate, I think, during the COVID, although COVID was bad in so many ways, but there was some good advantages. We had the Association of Maharaj for many months, isn't it? How, like 5-6 months he was. We had this wonderful association. I remember I used to cut flowers for him in the morning. He would walk around and I follow him and help him to cut flowers for his offering. Like that. He was very, very appreciative. Whatever small thing you did, he was so appreciative of that, isn't such brilliant, and amazing lectures, discourses. He had a sense of humor. And it was so attractive, and even in the Ratha Yatra, he was that was his kind of niche, the Harinam, getting ready for the Harinam, and sometimes his voice would not, and he would feel very down, and we would encourage him, Maharaj, you go ahead, don't worry. He looked forward to that, and just being honest, this is Lord Chaitanya's, and he was the Lord Chaitanya man, we can say that, he was genuine. Lord Chaitanya, soldier, definitely, in that. And we all are. There's a nice, I don't know, time constraint is very short. Anybody said something? Maharaj gave this, of course, the last months of his life in Vrindavan, he was giving so much wonderful nectar. And this was on February 28th. This was the Chaitanya Charitamrita seminar. And I thought this was such a wonderful, maybe if you didn't hear it, we'll share it. What yuga are we living in? It's rhetoric. What yuga are we living in? Yes? What yuga? Chaitanya Yuga. This is Chaitanya Yuga. This yuga is no longer Kali Yuga. It's one day in the day of Brahma where the entire pastime is completely different. Where Kali Yuga becomes the background. It's just a backdrop. It's not at all Kali Yuga. Oh, Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga. We all get into this sometime, isn't it? Whatever happened, we blame the age. Kali Yuga Kata. Kali Yuga is so bad. How bad is Kali Yuga? Everybody does at some point, isn't it? We blame this Kali Yuga, everything. But what is this Kali Yuga? It is a backdrop, simply a stage for the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Flooding everything, flooding the entire world. It is said, it gives a nice and brilliant analogy here. When you want to see a diamond, you place it against a dark background. You have a box, and in the box you have some dark velvet or dark silk, and you put this big diamond on top of that, and it stands out. If you have some white cloth as a background, it's not the same. So yes, we need the dark backdrop of the age of Kali Yuga, so that the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya will shine in the completely amazing glory. Did you hear this lecture, any of you? I mean, I just took an excerpt from it. So, it's the positive side of this Kali, not to be down. Lord Chaitanya is here, and in this Kali Yuga, Prabhupada speaks of 10,000 golden years, and we are in that time. We're in that 10,000 years, and we have to make the best use of a bad bargain. What's the bad bargain? You have this material body. Janma Mrityu Vyadi, birth, old age, jara, isn't disease, and finally death. So this is a bad bargain we have, and but how to make the best use of a bad bargain is to take to this process of Lord Chaitanya's message. And Lord Chaitanya is giving this wonderful, sublime message in such a simple way. Isn't? Chant Hare Krishna. Anybody can chant Hare Krishna? Yeah? Anybody can chant Hare Krishna. Isn't? So even the trees are benefited, the dogs are benefited, even non-believers are benefited, atheists are benefited. That's how potent these names of the holy names are. And what is he saying? Yare dekha tha kare Krishna Upadesh. Guru Amare. You become Guru. And you teach people about Krishna. You tell them about Krishna. That's what he's saying. And he's saying another thing. He said, Bharata Bhumi Haila. Bharata, he says those who've taken birth in India or Indian descent, they have a duty to this world, they have a responsibility to this world. To give them Krishna consciousness, wherever they go, every town and village, every part of the globe, wherever of Indian descent, Indian diaspora, they have somehow contribute in some way or give this process to everyone, the Europeans and all those different classes of people can benefit. That's how powerful. And still, we still think there's something better. We're not convinced till we see some Western devotees come. Even the time when Prabhupada took his Western disciples to India for the first time, Prabhupada was just frustrated with Prabhupada would go on a hot day, 40 degrees, 49, and try and sell back to Godhead for a few pice to the tea drinkers or tea bazaar, and they will refuse. And Prabhupada sometimes, he fainted in the heat of the sun. But he had a mission, and nothing will deter him. He was so determined. And yes, he had to follow that ultimate instruction of his to go and preach in English to the Western. So when he brought Western disciples, and the Indians saw how nicely the Westerns are taking to this process, and gradually they also took it up. They saw, yeah, this is the real thing. We have the real thing. This is the real thing. And this is how we see today India is flourishing with so many wonderful devotees coming. There's so many innovative programs are there set up all through the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was a great ambassador in so many ways, apart from the spiritual world, also for India. He was one of the great ambassadors of India. Yes, one of the greatest. Because he had the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is what we have to take very seriously. This message of Lord Chaitanya. This is in Chaitanya Yuga, not Kali Yuga. Forget. If we convince ourselves we're in Chaitanya Yuga, then all these things will be there, but we won't give prominence to that. Not that you won't get old, you won't get sick. No. We'll all, because we have this material body, but we will become more spiritually strong, spiritually knowing the goal of life. And Prabhupada says here, we've come human form of life. He mentions here, he says, the saying that the human form of life is the best position for devotional service has a special significance, because only in his human form can a living entity revive his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only in this human form of life. And what guarantee you'll have that you'll get a human form of life in your next birth? We don't know. That's the fear. Krishna is saying, isn't it? He says, this process is so powerful. So in this endeavor, he's saying, he's describing devotion, there is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can save one from the most dangerous type of fear. Na abhikrama na shoshti, pratyavaya na vidyate, swalpapya dharmasya, trayato mayato bahat. This fear of not getting that should dawn on us that that's the reality. Whether we'll get a human form of life again, or we'll get something worse than that. And that should propel us to take this human form of life significantly. Hare Krishna, I think I went over. Okay. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki.
Thank you, Jaisacinandana Prabhu, for that class and giving us the information that this is Chaitanya Yuga. Devotees and guests, the next part of our program is a video message by His Holiness Gandhamakana Maharaj, and this is entitled The Last Message. Devotees and guests, the program is adjusted today to accommodate the program for His Holiness Gandhamakana Maharaj. So after the video message, we're going to go into glorification of Maharaj by disciples, well-wishers and guests. Thereafter, we will observe Aarti. If we do not go into the Aarti time, we'll go on straight into Guru Puja at 1 o'clock, and Prasadam will be served from 1 onwards. So thank you for your patience. Nashwan Prabhu, are we ready?
Was roaming his kingdom and came across a terrible scene. Scene where a cow had been attacked by some low-class dark man dressed like a king, who had with a stick broken the legs of a bull. Maharaj breaks it. Being a violent king, immediately took action and was ready to fight that man in the yellow dress. None other than Kali personified. Kali, instead of fighting, immediately fell at the feet of the king like a subordinate, not ready to fight. Maharaj breaks it, took full action, and thought Kali could not stay in the kingdom. Kali said, what will I do? I took shelter, I am Praja, I exist. I've taken birth. I need to exist somewhere. Where can I exist? Maharaj Brexit thought that you can stay in 4 places. There was gambling, meat eating, illicit sex, and intoxication. was no such place. Couldn't find such a place, so came back and said, where will I stay? Then the archbishop said, okay, you can stay where gold is stored. From this 16th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada phrased the four regulative principles, which he formally introduced for his followers. As Srila Prabhupada was preaching to the modern world, he spelled it out, what to follow to become free from the influence of the age of Kali. Then Mahaprabhu gave the Yugadana, the chanting of the holy name, and following that, Caitanyas Smriti Duskaram Sukaram Bhavat, he also added his mercy and made what is difficult easy. And so, the fundamental tenets of Krishna consciousness for the modern world took shape. 16 rounds minimum and 4 regulative principles. You all are the fortunate people, because you all can touch the transcendental knowledge and the Vaishnavas, and as a result, you took up this process of sadhana bhakti, chanting Hare Krishna, and following 4 regulative principles. Who in this world is prepared to live like that? But by Srila Prabhupada's and his followers' inspiration, we are ready. You became the heroes. You are walking in a heroic path, most glorious. Everything is blessed all the way. Nothing could be better. What a wonderful life have you been given. So I'm very glad that I could be instrumental to inspire you to remain on that path. And through written, recorded words, recorded kirtan, and all else that remains behind, through the memories in your heart inspire you to stay on this path through thick and thin. When all is blissful, when all is struggle, do not waver. It is, you got the greatest treasure. Never forget. Nowhere in this world is there such wealth. The wealthiest man in the world is a pauper. You have the real wealth. Treasure it. Relish it. Cherish it. Hold it close. Hold it close. Don't become slack, neglectful. Hold it close. Chant every day. Hear every day. Carve these principles in stone. Let them be there every day. And your life will be wonderful. And at the end, go back to Godhead, and we can physically reunite and celebrate there like we've never celebrated before. So looking forward to the great, great festival that is to come, where all of us will together and celebrate to another dimension, where the bliss will rise to levels never seen, never heard of. That time is not far away. Life is short. Prabhupada said, just give this one life to me. Please do that. Just give it. And everything will become most amazing. I'm saying goodbye to you for just a short time. For when you will be, I'll stay with you in my words and memories. I'll be with you when you pass. I'm waiting for you on the other end to meet you again in person. Soon, soon, miracles will happen. Soon, we will see love. We will see bliss. We will see fulfillment beyond our imagination, beyond our expectation. Women Vajra, when we met the Lord, all his previous expectations, he said, they were broken pieces of glass. You gave me jewels. All we ever desired were broken pieces of glass. The Lord will give us jewels. Oh, stay on the path. Don't get lost. Come quickly. Let us join this festival of Krishna. The festival of unlimited and growing love. Thank you. 기도하겠습니다. Hare Krishna,
valuable lessons that we can actually take from this 14-minute video. There's a nice instructions there for us to follow, and also comes with Maharaj's blessings. So devotees, at this point in the program, we're going to now call on devotees to share their glorification of His Holiness Kandabakana Swami. And at this point, I'm going to call on His Grace, Laram Prabhu, who will read a message, will read out a message from His Holiness Parthasarati Das Goswami.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So this is a message from His Holiness Parthasarati Das Goswami, and it begins as follows. Dear Vaishnavas and well-wishers, please accept my humble respects. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our Guru Parampara. It is now 2 days since the divine disappearance of His Holiness Kadamba Swami. Maharaj's contribution to Srila Prabhupada's personal preaching mission, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is practically unparalleled. Maharaj's contribution in South Africa is iconic and oceanic. He led kirtans in an extremely sweet voice, which remind me of the cuckoos in Vrindavan. His voice was the sweetest I ever heard. Maharaj's kirtans were extremely uplifting, energetic, inspiring, and enlivening. Due to his sharp intelligence, his classes were powerful, and he was a master of the narratives and general speaking. He was in the know of what was going on in the outside world, and would iterate relevant examples, which he backed up with sastric integrity. Maharaj's most important contribution in South Africa was that he spearheaded preaching in the African community. The population in South Africa is 60 million, and 80% are black South Africans. He single-handedly inspired the devotees with the Soweto Rath Yatra and maintained it every year. He recognized the dire need to connect to the black community in a relevant way, based on bhakti, and he selflessly extended himself in this way. The success of his endeavor resulted in many black devotees taking shelter of him and receiving initiation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally empowered Kandamakanana Maharaj to fulfill this most important mission, which he did in an exemplary way. His Holiness Kandamakanana Maharaj possessed, by the will of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, amazing charisma. Charisma is defined as a compelling attractiveness or charm that attracts others and inspires devotion in others. We can see this. Many of his disciples and the followers can attest to this. Charisma is also defined by 3 characteristics: presence, power and warmth. Kadamba Maharaj had great presence, and this is due to him reflecting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy and compassion. Maharaj also had great power because he was delivering the holy name of the Lord wherever he traveled. He exuded warmth, friendliness, and was approachable. I have absolutely no doubt that His Holiness Kadamba Maharaj has now taken birth in the Lord's pastimes with a spiritual body. The Lord's pastimes are continuing right now in some Brahmanda universe. Maharaj will be dancing in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's kirtans or in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. I humbly pray at Maharaj's lotus feet that I can have 1/1,000,000th of the devotion he had for the holy name. To my Diksha Guru and the Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Although Maharaj didn't personally see Srila Prabhupada, he had full Guru Nishtha in Srila Prabhupada. Perhaps in 100 births, I may have something similar. On this occasion, I bow down to His Holiness Kadamba Maharaj koti times and humbly pray that I can follow in his footsteps as an eternal servant of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Varga. I remain your well-wisher, Parthasarthi Das Goswami. And so the message ends. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Balaram Prabhu. I'd like to now call on His Grace Raghava Chaitanya Prabhu to read his glorification of His Holiness Kadamba Swami. Krishna.
Hare Krishna, devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Looking at the curtains used to be something that used to attract me when in the old days, when all of a sudden you'd see when the kirtan is about finishing, then the curtains would open and Maharaj will come and sit on the Vyasasang. That is not going to happen anymore. But still, we have as Maharaj said, he's going to be there with us in YouTube through his kirtans, through his lectures, and through the memories. So I was looking through my book this morning, and I came across this something that I had written down some time ago. I'm sure many of you will remember it, but I'll just read it to refresh your memories. If we appreciate Krishna's glories, but are inactive, then we are in Shantaras, neutrality. Prabhupada said that Shantaras is almost impersonalism. Therefore, we must at least come to the stage of dasyam and develop an active service attitude. To take up some service, we have to take up some service for Krishna. That is his mercy. Maharaj always said that we always rely on mercy and that we have to care for each other. And this is where it starts. It transforms us and there is nectar to be found. Whatever that service may be, let it become our life and soul. Where there is a service to Krishna, there will be victory in spiritual life. Then our attraction to Krishna will also develop, and automatically we will start to appreciate the name and fame and qualities of Krishna. Our principal connection is in practical service. We should not discard it and just try to meditate deeply on Krishna. It is that service that is our saving grace. It is through that service that we can see Krishna at any moment. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'd like to now call Satyarani Dasi to please read clarification.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So I think it's a little organic. Alana Prabhu said to share some glorifications of Maharaj, but I also have in mind, the what may be happening in the minds of the disciples and the well-wishers and the friends of Maharaj as well. So I thought perhaps to touch on those points. But firstly, before all of that, I'd like to, on behalf of Maharaj's disciples in South Africa, I'd like to say that we're very deeply appreciative of all of the support from all the senior Vaishnavas and from all the communities and from all the Vaishnavas. So it's been incredibly heartwarming, actually, to see how so many people come together just to support us. So I'm deeply appreciative of that. It's quite spontaneous, but what I can do is I can share what my thoughts have been over the past few weeks and the past few months with knowing Maharaj's condition. And I think it was the day before Maharaj actually left, on Wednesday, I was chanting in the morning and I was thinking of Prahlad Maharaj. And I was thinking, because so often you receive these messages from people and they say to you that you must be strong, that throughout all of this you should pray for strength. And I was thinking about it, and then I thought of Prahlad Maharaj from Bhagavatam. It's described there that there's a verse where Prahlad Maharaj is responding to his father and he's saying, the strength, it's not exact, but the strength which you get is the same strength that I get. It's from the same source. But then I thought of the character of Prahlad Maharaj. He was such a tender boy. He was a baby. He was only 5 years old. So what is it that really gave him the strength? Was it some sort of Kshatriya determination or something like that? Because he's just a baby. So what is it? And when I really reflected on it, I thought perhaps maybe one could say that the strength of Prahlad Maharaj was the fact that he took shelter of the Supreme Person. That he took shelter. He took shelter at every moment of danger, at every moment of uncertainty, of every moment of insecurity. He took shelter of the Supreme Person. So in the same way, I think for myself, I was thinking that I don't have to try to be strong. All I have to do is take shelter. There's the shelter of all the Vaishnavas, which all have also lovingly and affectionately displayed. There's the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. There's the shelter of the Shastra. There's so much of shelter. So to the disciples of Maharaj and his close friends as well, not friends, his close, Shiksha disciples as well, don't be in anxiety of trying to have some sort of determination or some kind of I have to be strong. Just take shelter, because in taking shelter everything is there. And Jaisacinandana Prabhu was mentioning in the class of the time of when Lord Chaitanya appeared that there were all of these upper sampradayas, and it made me remember Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had endured the same sort of anguish and in consecutive years of the disappearance of his own spiritual master Gaurikishore Das Babaji, as well as his father Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But that never deterred Bhaktisiddhanta from establishing the Vaishnava principles of purity. He maintained his vigor, his vitality, and his enthusiasm, and he still established Vaishnava principles in its glory and in its purity, and as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would have wanted it to have been established. So like this, we take shelter of the Acharyas. It was a meditation for me this past festival of Bhaktisiddhanta, because Srila Prabhupada also was the embodiment of the instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta, that Srila Prabhupada had spent most of his life not in the presence of his spiritual master, the physical presence, but just see what he had done with his life. He came and he gave Krishna consciousness to everybody. So it wasn't dependent on the physical proximity of his spiritual master. It was dependent on his sincerity and his utmost deep appreciation for his spiritual master. And we see that also in the lives of so many Vaishnavas. So in this way, that's been one of my meditations. Shri Shri Radharanath ki. Yeah, it's been one of my meditations that we simply follow the acharyas in this way. I don't want to bore anybody, but I'm just sharing sort of what my meditations have been over this period of time. And speaking of taking shelter and the acharyas, and we just have to follow. And I came across a really nice class by Radhanath Swami on the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada, and I'd just like to read a small part of it because it was very inspiring. He said, when Srila Prabhupada would quote Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Narottam Das Thakur, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Rupa Sanatan Raghunath, he was not merely like a scholar quoting some scholastic passages of the past, but he was experiencing and granting us the experience of an intimate personal association of these great personalities. And that is the great gift of spiritual life, that in spiritual life there is no birth and there is no death. These great souls are eternally living and granting us their association in the form of sound vibration. So I thought that was incredibly powerful, because who here can say that they have not met Srila Prabhupada in his books? So this is the potency of that sound vibration. So many of the disciples may be also receiving messages from different people and they're not sure how to actually approach the subject. I received a message and somebody said to me, I won't use the exact words, they said, this is probably the worst thing that could happen in the life of a disciple, but they used a stronger word. And I didn't respond because I thought about it and I said, that's one approach, that's one perspective. But I think for myself personally, I don't consider this the worst experience in my life, because I think for myself the worst experience would be if my spiritual master were to reject me, or for him to withdraw his mercy. And I could very comfortably say that I don't actually feel that. I feel that as long as there's a potent and bona fide spiritual master, and as long as we sincerely and faithfully follow to the best of our capacity, then there's no distance, there's no loss. The protection, the shelter, the prayer of the spiritual master, everything is still there. It's just a matter of perception. Now we've relied on WhatsApp messages, we've relied on emails, we've relied on him coming physically here. But now it's the time for us to become mature in our Krishna consciousness, where we purify ourselves, and then in that maturity that we will develop, we will be able to perceive how the mercy of the spiritual master is so full and extensive in our lives, and we take shelter of the holy name. And on the Samadhi ceremony of March, that must have been incredibly painful for many of us, and particularly his disciples. But I thought to myself also that yes, we may place Maharaj in a Samadhi, and it is very auspicious, and it's so incredibly powerful. That place will become a place of pilgrimage for us. But at the same time, we can also place Maharaj in the innermost chambers of the temple of our heart, and there we can worship him with all of his instructions and all of these prayers, and every single day we can make an offering of our life to Maharaj. So all of these messages are very heartfelt from everyone, but from my what's been my meditation is that particularly to the disciples, is let us maintain our enthusiasm. And by Maharaj's own example, he has had such a deep and incredible sense of appreciation and gratitude for Srila Prabhupada and for all of the acharyas as well. And that, I feel, is one of the things that I've appreciated the most in his character, that was what spurred him on, the depth of his appreciation, which was always ever increasing. Because the Vaishnava that is greater than us, they're like an ocean of qualities with no end. And he really lived by that, and he's just given so much. Even this video, they mentioned, he wasn't so well when he gave it. But also we should, maintain sobriety and gravity, that whilst his body may have been ailing externally, his consciousness was completely fixed still on glorifying the Supreme Person. So in one sense, there'll be pain, there'll be anguish, there'll be anxiety, but we should rest assured that his potency, his guidance, his prayer, and all of the things that we may not have been able to perceive before will still all be there. There's no need to feel like we will be neglected. That love, that affection will all be there, but it will just manifest in a different way. So with that, I just wanted to share that let us still maintain our encouragement, because it's not the passing of an ordinary person. It's just, how many programs did we go to that Maharaj went to that we couldn't attend? So it's the same thing. He's having a program in the spiritual world, and we're getting our visas processed, right? So with that, I'd like to leave everybody with those meditations. Sorry for taking so long. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sachirani Mataji. Devotees, just like to read a short excerpt from a letter that we, by His Holiness Giriraj Swami. And Maharaj was saying, you published a book called Caitanyas Sadahari, to always chant the holy name of Krishna, which you called a collection of short meditations on the holy name, a compilation of excerpts from your talks along with your reflections on the holy names. You wrote, and Maharaj is quoting His Holiness Kandama Kanana Swami Maharaj, I've boarded the train, I've got my seat, and now let the journey begin. Like that, let me get ready to chant my rounds and get into regular rhythm, just like the train, name after name, in an unbroken chain, with Goloka as my destination. So I thought it was a very nice message that Maharaj wrote. I'd like to now call His Grace Virabhadra Prabhu to please speak.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So, I'll try and keep it short. I was thinking that when I first came into this movement, into Krishna consciousness, and the devotees that I joined or I associated with emphasized that the chanting of the holy name basically is everything in this movement. It is the foundation of this movement, and that I should take shelter of the holy name. And at first I didn't understand what that meant, take shelter of the holy name. But then as time went on, obviously we begin to understand more and more. And then my search for a spiritual master began. And we go through this which spiritual master. We listen to so many spiritual masters that come and serve them. And I was praying to Krishna that please send me my spiritual master. And then I realized that I want a spiritual master that has taken full shelter of the holy name. And as I got more association of His Holiness Caitanyas Swami, I realized how much he had taken full shelter of the holy name. And that's when I realized that this is who I want to surrender to. So, as Jaisacinandana Prabhu mentioned, that Maharaj was he was a Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu man. You know, when Mahaprabhu came, what did he do? He took the holy name to the streets and gave it to everyone. And this is what Maharaj did. He gave the holy name to everyone. Black, white, yellow, green, whatever color you may be, he gave it. You know. And he told me that as long as you do Harinam and give this holy name out, I'll be pleased. You know, and that kind of convinced me more that yes, the foundation of our spiritual lives is taking shelter of the holy name. And so Maharaj, he had taken full shelter of the holy name. And therefore he inspired so many people around the world to surrender to Krishna consciousness, to surrender to Srila Prabhupada's mission. Yes, he was very dynamic. He preached in ways we wouldn't even think about, you know. So, yeah, I think my message for today, I wanted to share some pastimes of how merciful Maharaj was, to me especially. So, one day, I think it was Radha-astami or something, or that festival, and Maharaj was here on the Vyasasana and he was speaking, and I was sitting right in front of him. And he just lifted his legs up, and I put my head lower, and he placed his feet on my head, you know. So that was like so merciful. And then another time at Ratha Yatra, when I was playing cartels for him on the main stage, he gave me a hiding in front of everyone because I wasn't keeping up with the cartels. So yeah, he was very merciful both ways. Yeah, and like Satyarani said, that he's not gone. He's still with us in his instructions, in the memories. And as long as we take full shelter of the holy name, Maharaj will be very pleased. So, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Veerabhadra Prabhu. At this point, I'd like to open it up to the devotees and disciples that would like to share something. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Don't rush. Okay. Yeah, I think I share Prabhu's enthusiasm about, Maharaj, at a different pace, how he leads Kirtan, and how the devotees battle to keep up with him. And this was evident last year, if the devotees can remember the Maha Harinam that we had on the promenade. Maharaj was giving everything that he had and that he possesses in the Kirtan, and the devotees were battling to keep up with him in terms of accompaniment of the instruments. So if there's no one else, I'd like to call Her Grace Madhurya Kandamini Mataji to please share something now. Thereafter, we'll observe the Aarti with some Kirtan, and then we'll offer Guru Puja to Srila Prabhupada and offer petals to His Holiness Kandamakanana Swami Maharaj.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay, I don't want to speak too much because, it's still something that I'm processing, and it's still very internal, and I don't know how much to express, but I thought of a few things. I just wanted to basically express my gratitude to my Guru Maharaj, thanking him for all the inspiration and endless kindness and mercy he's given all of us. his just goal in life was just to inspire us to become Krishna conscious. And hopefully we can also just become instruments to inspire others into devotional service. I've just been thinking, by hearing everyone speak about him, and now we're hearing more and more and more about just his exalted nature and qualities, and then it just made me think how merciful he really was, because just with me personally, and I know with so many other people, he was just so relatable, and he would come down to our level, and he's just so high above and such an exalted personality, but he could just speak to you as though you're his friend, his very close friend. And I thought that was so kind and merciful of him, because he didn't have to speak to me but he did, because he was very sweet and merciful. And another point that I really like, what really amazes me about Maharaj is just how joyful he is in devotional service, and it's such an example to all of us, because devotional service should be joyfully performed, and that's our inherent nature, is this blissful joy inside of us. But right now, I know for me, I'm still just obviously stuck in the low modes and don't feel that joy yet, but anytime I've been in Maharaj's presence, whether in person or even online, you feel that joy. It's contagious. His joy for devotional service is very contagious. And there have been so many times where I wanted to talk to Maharaj and just say, oh, this has been bothering me, or this has been a problem. But then when I speak to him and he's like, how are you? I'm like, oh, I'm wonderful, great, everything's amazing. Just because when you're with him, that is how you feel. There's nothing that bothers you. And even though I still lack love for Krishna, but Guru Maharaj, he has so much love for Krishna, and I want to please him, and he wants us to know and love Krishna. So, hopefully just by his desire for us to know and love Krishna, I can also get to that point. And he also just wants us to be devotees, and he stressed so much the futility of the material world and the material enjoyment and sense gratification. He had so much faith in just devotional service, and he just wanted to instill that in us, that just lose faith and hope in the material world. You're not going to get anything out of it. Only devotional service is really the answer. So I find that very inspiring. His full faith in devotional service, and how he can instill that in us as well. And he's also mentioned a few times how in the newest book that will come out, he speaks about how Krishna is in all of our hearts, and Krishna never comes alone. He comes with all of his associates, and Guru Maharaj, he's an associate of the Lord, so he is always in our heart, like literally, physically. Like we always talk about the Vani and Vapu, and he is physically there and in his instruction, because he's with Krishna in our heart. And I'd asked Maharaj how we can take shelter of him every day and every moment, and he said, just make everything an offering. Just make everything an offering to your spiritual master. So I pray that all of us can, everything we do, we can make it as a conscious offering to our spiritual master, and not just kind of be on flight mode. He always encouraged us to go deeper and deeper and become more mature, and to try become more conscious in every devotional activity we do as an offering to him. Jai Prabhu was talking in the class how my Guru Maharaj said to him about the importance of reading, and it also made me think, like, he actually spoke about this, how when we read, each verse that we read, we must try and apply it in our lives. So when we read, it must be thoughtful and prayerful, and how we can apply each and every single verse in our lives. And that was him. He was very practical. He wanted us to be practical, not just read Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita or Bhagavad Gita and just read it, but actually to apply it, and to apply everything, not just some parts, like everything. And yeah, and in his last message that we just watched, how he spoke about how fortunate we are for being on this path and being in contact with this movement. And yeah, that's just a prayer that I have for myself and for all of us, that we can actually understand the depth of this movement and how special it is, and how we should just take it as our life and soul, and it make it everything for us. So yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, dear devotees, guests, and well wishers, for sharing your thoughts and realizations on Maharaj. We'll now have some kirtan and observe the arti. Thereafter we will have Srila Prabhupada's Guru Puja. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Kacharya Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Kacharya Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Gangamaya Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasingaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Hold it, man. Hiranyakashipur Vakshaha Shilatanka Nakalae Ito Nashingo Parato Nashingo Yato yato yamitato nashingo. Bahir nashinga, hridaya nashinga. Narasinga madem sharanam prapade. Tava kara kamalavare nakamadbhuta shringa. Dalita hiranyakashipur tanubringa. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Dalita hiranyakashipur tanubringa. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Jaya Nashingadev, 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 Jaya Nashingadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Bhakti Vigya Vinash Nishingadev Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi.
Hare Krishna devotees, we will now observe Srila Prabhupada's Guru Puja and offer flower petals to Srila Prabhupada as well as to His Holiness Kandamakhanana Swami Maharaj. So when you're handed the petals, kindly keep some to offer to Srila Prabhupada and keep some to offer to His Holiness Kandamakhanana Swami. Hare Krishna.
Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Bando Moi Sarvadana Mate. Bando Moi sarvadana mate. Yahara prasade bai e bhavatoriya jai. Yahara prasade bai e bhavatoriya jai. Krishna prapti hoya hoite. Krishna prapti hoya hoite. Guru mukha padma vakya chitete koriya kya. Harana koriyo mane asha. Harana koriyo mane asha. Shri Guru charane rati ese uttama gati. Shri Guru charane rati ese uttama gati. Jai prasade pure sarva asha. Jai prasade pure sarva asha. Sakudana dilo je janme janme Prabhu se. Sakudana dilo je janme janme Prabhu se. Divya gyari de prokasito. Divya gyari de prokasito. Prema bhakti aha hoite avidya vinasa jate. Prema bhakti aha hoite avidya vinasa jate. Vedegaya hara charito. Vedegaya hara charito. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschachare Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
His Holiness Kamakhana Maharaj ke, Srila Prabhupada ke, Nitai Gaura Premanande.